So the first part of today's lecture is on Microsoft Word, and I'm going to have you take a document and make some changes to it. The changes and everything that we do to this document is going to align exactly with what is on the midterm exam. If you look at the syllabus, it states these are the following objectives that you need to complete in order to be proficient or advanced in Microsoft Word. The document will go directly over how to do every single one of those things. We'll go over each specific objective that you need to accomplish, and we'll be good to go. So what I would like you to do right now is please log on to Blackboard. And you are going to download two documents from your Blackboard account. You're going to download to your desktop the document that says Microsoft Gaming and the document that says Microsoft Word Example. And you're going to open both of them up. Microsoft Gaming and Microsoft Word Example. So please go into Blackboard. You can click on your link, will say Content, and they should be the two documents that are at the bottom of the page. I'll give you about a minute or two to do that. Please download them and save them to the desktop so that we can edit them and make some changes on them. And the other thing that's cool about this is this. If you want to practice for the midterm, which will be in 2 weeks, you can practice now. If you can do everything that's on this list, that's on the midterm, you'll get a perfect on it. Everything is explicitly explained and used for this. So take a minute, get it. If you have any questions or any problems, please let me know. What's up?
Seems like it's starting back up kind of a lot.
Okay. I'm on my way.
Pulling up these last two.
Click on them. It's open. And then save it. Do a save as and save it to the desktop. Put it on the desktop. Save the desktop. So, when you're clicking on each of these documents that are at the bottom of the screen, click on them, open them up, and then save as and save them to the desktop. If you can see, I saved them and I drug them in the corner of the desktop. This way, I know where they are, and I can continuously save them if I need to. The last thing we want is for the document to be open and for you not to be able to save it. Because if the document's open and you can't save it, the power goes out, something happens, you've lost all the work that you've done. So open them up, do a save as, and save them to the desktop. Is everybody good? Anybody need a hand? Anybody need any help? Anything I can do to help? Good? Okay. Yes. Now you need to minimize it. Let's see if make sure it's on the desktop.
Oh, yeah, actually.
Save as. And click on desktop. Click save. And then open it up from the minimize here. And it's right there. Just open it up from the desktop. Both of them can be opened at the same time. Notice what happens in the new iteration of Windows when we're opening up multiple Word documents. I particularly don't like this as much as I liked it on the other versions. You see that there's a double layer that shows there are two documents open. Do you guys remember back in the day where if you opened up a Word document, it would be a separate bar at the bottom and then there'd be one next to it? It doesn't do that anymore. So now, instead of that, we have to open up both documents, put them at the bottom of the screen, and we know they're both open. The cool thing, though, is when you move your mouse over the icon, it'll split them on the screen. It'll show, look, the document Microsoft Gaming is open, and the document Microsoft Word Example is open. So for those of you that are watching at home, this is what I'm going to suggest you do. I'm going to suggest you open up both of the documents right now, exactly as we did. What I'm going to do here, everything that I instruct the people in class on today, I'm going to go over using the Microsoft Gaming file as the base. That's where they're going to make the changes to. So if you get lost and you get confused by anything, you can look off of Microsoft Word example, and it will take you step by step how to do everything. The document we're going to be using in class is Microsoft Gaming, and that's the one that people are going to be making the changes and edits to as we go along. So you have a document open. It's called Microsoft Gaming. Make sure this document is open. And the instructions are available as we go along. Anybody have a problem getting the document open? And you've opened the document from Blackboard. Everybody's good. Okay. So the first thing we're going to go over is changing page orientation. There are only two page orientations. What are the two page orientations? Portrait and landscape. Almost everything that you use in print for school is going to be which of the two? Portrait. Why? Portrait is this, and landscape is this. There's more room when you're writing a paper up and down, and it looks more aesthetically pleasing to the eyes. When we go over desktop publishing, I'll show you that everything moves across the page in a Z pattern. So knowing that, we're going to keep everything that we do document-wise in portrait. You can obviously use landscape if you're creating a flyer, creating a spreadsheet. Everything you print in Excel is actually going to be in landscape. So we're going to first click on page layout. So click on page layout. And if anybody gets confused or hung up, please stop me and let me know so that we can do this. You can take notes if you want, but it's probably easier to follow along, go step by step, and make sure you can handle all of the instructions. And there's nothing wrong with stopping me and letting me know that you need help. I'll run right now.
I need help.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Got it. No problem. That's what we're here for.
Everything is grayed out. Like, I don't know if it's really did I do something?
Yeah, you're in protected view. You're in a view where we cannot edit it. Enable editing.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay,
Cool.
I'm sorry.
No problem. No worries. Anybody else having any issues or problems? Everybody can edit their documents, right? Okay, fantastic. So we're going to start by looking at the page layout tab. It's 4 over from the left, and we start with page layout. And for orientation, we're going to go from landscape to portrait. So change the document from landscape to portrait. So watch, I clicked on orientation and I changed from landscape to portrait. Any questions on that? All right. Next thing that we can look at and change is we need to make sure our margins are correct. By default in Microsoft Word, it's not the default that most colleges and universities will have you use. Microsoft Word's traditional default from Office 2003 is 1 inch top, 1 inch bottom, 1.25 left, 1.25 right. We're going to change this to normal. Normal is 1 inch all around. So change it to normal, 1 inch all around. And what happens when you change the margins? What? It lines up differently, so the text that was on page 2 is pushed up to page 1. So you change the margins also in the page layout tab under page layout, change the margins. So the next thing that we're going to do deals with columnating a document. If we're doing a newsletter, if we're doing a flyer, if we're doing a brochure. In the HR class, one of the things you guys might have the opportunity to do is design a brochure promoting the company that you're working with. If that's the case, we need to know how we can change this entire document to columns. So this is what we're going to do. You can do this a number of ways. As you know, in most of the Microsoft Word softwares, you can change documents a lot of different ways, highlight and select text. You can highlight all the text. What I want you to get in the habit of doing is this. Move to the left margin and triple click. That selects all of the text in the document. I want you to see this. Look up here and notice this. the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, 4, and 5 are not highlighted. They are highlighted, but they are not highlighted on here because that is a numbered list. Numbered lists are not selected when you columnate or you select all the text because you're going to edit those and change those separately.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Can you do that again?
Sure. So I'm going to click on the left side in the margin, and I'm going to triple click. Triple click. That selects everything that's on the page. Different than double clicking, different than single clicking. If you guys are like me and you love Macs, you know that you can't double click on a Mac. So it's just getting back into the Microsoft setup is quite the challenge. So we're going to click on columns then. Once we know for sure that all of our documents have been selected. So we're going to click on columns and we're going to change them to 2 columns. And look how neatly and nicely this is lined up, and it fits beautifully on one page. Anybody have any questions on changing 2 columns? Okay. Another important thing that we're going to do is change our text, change our font, and change our color. We can do that from the Home tab. So you're going to click on the Home tab, and it's going to give you the option to change font type, change color. The directions that I gave you are as follows. Change the heading Xbox Live. So the heading Xbox Live is the one that's right here. We're going to change that heading to red. We're going to increase the point size to 14 point, and we're going to make the font type Calibri. So let's do this as a group, slowly together. Let's highlight the words Xbox Live. Highlight Xbox Live. It's the first heading in the second column. Font color is accessible under the Home tab, right where there's an A and there's an underline. You can click here and you can click to the right of the A, and you can see all the different colors that you can change it to. We're going to change it to red. Doesn't matter which red you pick, just pick a red. I'm going to pick that red. I'm going to make it dark red so it's easier to see. Changing the point size. What is the default point size for almost every single document? 12 points. For this particular heading, to show that we know how to do it, we're going to change the point size, which we can do directly here by selecting it and changing it to 14 points. So you see the number 12, make the number 12 14. Now watch what else you can do. This is pretty cool. You can grow font or you can decrease font. So if you're ever at a point where you can't, where you're trying to fit something on a cover letter and you keep going on slightly to a second page, just click up here where it has the A with the down arrow and you can shrink font and it'll just automatically shrink the font to the next size. You can experiment and play around and see what it can be and how it can fit. You can do that with your entire document. We're going to make it 14 point for our heading. So Xbox Live is going to be 14 point. What's up?
Keep jumping back to 12.
No, that's because you're on the next line. If you go to highlight Xbox Live.
Yeah. Highlight it in just that heading. That's all we're doing. Now we're changing the font type. There are some things that I'm going to say are going to be a pain in the butt if you're using Microsoft Office 2007 or 2003 at home. This is one of them. Every time Microsoft puts out a new piece of Office software, they normally add new fonts and then they delete other fonts. Well, what happens if you have a document that was created in an old font and you try to open it up on a new Microsoft software? What happens? It will try to find it, and if it doesn't, it does what, Laura? It defaults. So know that if you're designing something at home on the different type of software. So let's scroll down and let's find Calibri. C-A-L-I-B-R-E. So we're clicking on our font type and we're going to change it to Calibri. Yes?
Does Point Park allow you to install fonts, or are you stuck with the default library that they have?
It is on this computer up here. In past times, people have been doing the presentations. And for those of you watching at home, it's the same as in the other lab. If you have fonts that you used at home, it will permit you, the tech support will come in and they will install the fonts on the main computer, but they cannot install them on each individual computer. So if you need it for a presentation, you'll be good. Just make sure that you let the instructor know in advance, and then tech support will come on and they'll install the fonts. A good example of this is this. Who's familiar with the Grateful Dead, the music group The Grateful Dead? You know that the Grateful Dead has their own copyrighted, trademarked font that they use on everything. Somebody did a presentation on the Grateful Dead. Well, they wanted to use the Grateful Dead font. They had to install it directly on the computer, and it looked good. Then when people were looking at it on their computers, it didn't turn out correctly. So we've changed Xbox Live to 14-point font type Calibri. Any questions on that? Okay, highlighting text is the next thing that we can do from the home menu. Let's highlight 3D gaming. Highlight 3D gaming. Select it. So move your cursor and select it. Now we're going to highlight it. And you can highlight directly to the left of where we changed the font color. And it'll give you only 15 different options to highlight. But let's highlight it yellow. So let's select 3D gaming and then highlight it yellow. Any questions on that? Page breaks and column breaks are the next thing that we're going to look at and talk about. One of the things that go on in this program is a lot of you will be writing group papers. You'll probably have to do group papers in about 5 or 6 of your classes where you have to write a 20-page group paper as part of your cohort. When that happens, one of the things you're going to want to know how to do is to break up who's doing what part and make sure there are page breaks so you can distinguish what this person's topic is, what that person's topic is, and what that person's topic is. Obviously, in this class, we're not writing a paper, but in your other classes, for sure, you all will be writing papers. So position your cursor before the M in Microsoft Xbox. So make sure you have moved your mouse to right before the M in Microsoft Xbox. Click on the Insert tab. Click on the Insert tab. And we're going to insert a page break. So in the Insert tab, I'm going to just simply click on Page Break. And notice what that does. That moves the text down to the second page. So you hit Insert Page Break, and it moves the text down to the second page. Any questions on that? Okay. Next step will be double spacing particular text as instructed. So click on the Home tab. Yes?
It moved everything.
If it ever moves everything, you can simply do an edit undo.
I see.
And there it is.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Because we put the page break directly at the bottom. If you're watching at home and you ever have any problems with this, the other thing that you can do if something goes wrong, you can move your cursor up to the left and you can do an edit undo. So you're just simply directly where the disk is, where you would save, you would just click undo and it undoes the page break. So if you do something wrong, the undo option is great. You will learn to love the undo option in Excel, PowerPoint, and Word, and then when we get into Access, well, you really can't undo much in Access. So it just is what it is. So, under Microsoft Gaming, what I would like you to do is highlight, this is the top paragraph that's on page 1. The only paragraph on page 1. We're going to highlight the text under Microsoft Gaming from computer companies, just this text. So just select this particular text. And highlight from computer companies all the way down to Nintendo. We should still be on the Home tab, and we're going to click on Line and Paragraph Spacing. And we are going to change the text underneath that paragraph to double space, which is 2.0. So we've highlighted and we've changed this text to double space. Any questions on that? Another important technique that we can do is using find and replace. So also on the Home tab, all the way over on the right, is the options to find and replace. We're going to click replace. And anytime that we see Atari occurring in our document, we're going to change the word Atari to Microsoft. Don't do this yet. I want you to make sure that you completely, perfectly spell Atari. Because if you don't spell it correctly, it's not going to replace it. So we're going to find Atari. You're going to key in capital A, lowercase t, A, R, I. So find what? Atari. Capital A, lowercase t, lowercase a, lowercase r, lowercase I. And then I'm going to click down and replace with, and I'm going to change it to Microsoft. So find what? Atari, and replace it with Microsoft. And this is also important. When you're finding and replacing, I do not advise you to simply click replace all. You have to make sure that the context is correct with what you're choosing to replace. So you'll click on find next. So click on find next. And it'll highlight it. The standalone system Atari Xbox. Should that be changed to Microsoft, that occurrence? Yes. So then you'll click replace, not replace all. So we'll change it to replace. And then I'll ask you to find next again. And it comes up. When the Atari Xbox came out, we know that's incorrect. So we can replace that as well. And all the replacements are there. And when we try to replace again, we know we've made the correct replacement. So we've replaced it twice. We've replaced Atari with Microsoft. Now that that's done, we'll click close to close the dialog box. Any questions on that? All right. Scroll down to the second page. And the next feature we're going to show you are bulleted lists and numbers. We are going to change our numbered list to a bulleted list. So what I would like you to do is to select all the text that's in the numbered list. So highlight, watch what I'm doing, make sure you highlight Halo 2 down through Dead or Alive 3. So we've highlighted 3, we've highlighted 5, we've highlighted all 5 of our items that are on the numbered list. To change it to bullets, you're simply going to click on the bullet option that's under the paragraph submenu. So we'll simply click on bullets, and they all become bullets. If I want them to go back to numbers, we change them to numbers. Any questions on changing bulleted lists from numbers to bullets? Okay. Scroll back up to the top. And you're going to highlight the words Microsoft Gaming. We're going to bold, italicize, and underline Microsoft Gaming. Those of you following at home, we are on instruction 11 on the sheet. So we're going to highlight Microsoft Gaming. We're going to bold, italicize, and underline it. You can do that all under the Home tab, under the Font sub menu. You can simply click bold, italicize, and underline. Any questions? Okay, so another popular feature that we can use is the thesaurus feature. If you're writing papers, and I'm sure some of you do this, you'll notice when you write a paper, you'll use the same verb or the same word to describe something over and over again. Understanding how to use the thesaurus feature is pivotal for you to change words around, learn new words, and try to supplement your writing and make it stronger. Under the Review tab, you have the option to do spelling and grammar checks. You have the option to do the thesaurus feature, word count, and a number of other features. We're going to focus on the thesaurus feature first. Highlight the word play, which is in this first sentence on page 1. Computer companies have long designed games for their users to play. So highlight the word play. And you're simply going to click on thesaurus. Under the Review tab, click on thesaurus. So, why did I pick the word play over any other word? Because play has multiple meanings. What version of play are we going to use? If you use this feature and just simply click on anything that comes up under the thesaurus, it's probably not going to work. If I tried to read this sentence as computer companies have long designed games for their users to tragedy, for their users to peace, for their users to composition, it's not going to work. But guess what? Some people actually will just use this feature and change words around. If you do that, you're not smart, because the instructor is going to probably figure out what you're doing. But this is cool because we can actually look and see which words can fit. So under production, it's obviously not going to be production. Notice the subheading. Recreation? Could be. Any of these seem to work or line up that we like?
Fun.
For their users to fun.
No.
Won't work. How about frolic? Are you going to frolic with your video game system? Joke.
Participate.
Under participate, that's going to be the correct one. Absolutely. So we look down and the version of play that we're using aligns with the word participate. Most of these will fit for the users to compete, cooperate, take part, join in, engage in, take part in. All of those will fit. Participate is the right version of play that we're going to use. So let's change from for their users to play to engage in. So let's click engage in. And then we know that's going to work. So we've used the thesaurus feature, and let's manually key it in so we don't accidentally click on anything else and add different words that we don't want. So now we're going to move our cursor, and you're going to delete the word play and type engage in. So computer companies have long designed games for the users to engage in. Does that sound better than play? Yeah, absolutely.
You could just hit. There's no way just to insert it?
You can.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing, if somebody just directly inserts something, if they accidentally click twice, they're going to insert it twice. That's why I'm telling you guys, be careful, make sure you're always, make sure, for ones like this, for the replace feature and the thesaurus feature, I'm always big on actually physically keying it in. It makes it easier, that way you're not making a mistake. The one that I'm going to give you on the midterm, I have a document very similar to this that's about professional wrestling. And what I've done is I've specifically changed, anytime you see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I've changed his name to Dwayne "The Hammer" Johnson. I'm going to try to confuse you by putting in Greg "The Hammer" Valentine. So you have to search and you have to know which one I'm looking for, use, find, and replace the correct one. That way you can't just search for it, replace all, and be done. You have to actually search and scour the document to find the correct replacements. So once we've done it, we can click on close, and we've engaged our replacement. Subscripts and superscripts. Click on the Home tab. Subscripting and superscripting is something you are absolutely going to have to do when you're taking quantitative methods. A lot of your math formulas that you'll use will have subscripts and superscripts, so showing you how to do this is also fairly important. So scroll down. to the second page of the document. And in the second column, fourth line down, I mentioned the Microsoft 720. We're going to superscript 720, so watch what we do. We highlight just 720, so just 720 is highlighted, and for those of you watching at home, I'll zoom in on this. So we highlight just 720. And then we're going to superscript it. It's directly on the Font tab under Home, and I click on it once, and it superscripts. It's just like you were, if you had x squared on a math equation, you can superscript that way. We're going to scroll down now to the heading on the first column that says Microsoft 360. Under Microsoft Xbox 360, it says when Microsoft's 360 was released to the general public, we'll fix that later, we're going to subscript the 360 to show you how to subscript. And that's also on the Font tab, and it's the one that places the numbers lower than the text. So we'll subscript 360. Any questions so far? Okay, copy pasting text. You can copy paste, you can cut and paste. For the sake of this, we're going to copy paste though, just to show you what happens when you copy paste, because it doesn't delete where the text was originally located. You're going to scroll down, and we're going to select all of the text under the heading Xbox Live, including the heading Xbox Live. So highlight the heading Xbox Live and all of the text underneath it. Everybody good, everybody highlighted. Right click and click on copy. Then position your cursor between this bullet that says Dead or Alive 3 in this heading, Microsoft Xbox 360. Your cursor should be right here. And I want you to right click, and I want you to paste. It will give you options, and this is important. It'll say merge list, and it makes it a bulleted list, or it says don't merge list. Is what we're doing a list? No, so we don't merge list. So for paste options, when we right click, you're going to select don't merge list, and then our document is pasted directly below our bulleted list. Any questions on that? Did everybody do that successfully? Position your cursor before the X in Xbox Live, where mine is, and hit enter once. So what's the problem? We've copy-pasted, what's the problem? You got two headings that say, exactly right. Two headings that say Xbox Live. So what we're going to do now is we're going to delete the heading we don't want. So you're going to position your cursor after the period in game, and you're going to highlight up. And when you highlight up, notice how cool this is. It automatically, when you move over to the left, it'll highlight the column to the left. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm just going to make sure Xbox Live at the bottom of the page, and that column is highlighted. And I'm simply going to hit the delete key, and it's gone. And this looks much nicer, it looks cleaner, and it's easily edited. Any questions on this? We've covered 15 of the 25 objectives. Click on Review, and you're going to run a spelling and grammar check. So click on Review and hit Spelling and Grammar. And before I do that, just for the sake of this, I'm going to move my cursor to the top of the document, which you all should do. Scroll up to the top of the document and position your cursor before the M in Microsoft. And then I'm going to run a spelling and grammar check. Now, what will happen is this. People will just automatically run spelling and grammar checks and just go on whatever the default tells you to go on. Is it going to tell you that Xbox and PlayStation are spelled incorrectly? Why? They're not in the dictionary and they are proper spelling. They're proper spelling and they're proper names. So you have to check everything as we do a spell check and make sure it's correct. So what we can do here, and you can do this on your home computer, for the PlayStation, I know that's a word. It's a proper word, it's a proper name. So I'm going to click Add to Dictionary. On lean, is that correct? So we're going to click Change and replace on lean with online. When Microsoft's 360 was released to the general public, we know that's incorrect, so we're going to hit Change. Watch this. It's also running a grammar check as well. And it'll say when Microsoft's 360, it suggests that you have war released. Does war fit in that paragraph? No, it does not. So you're going to click Ignore once. Not ignore rule, ignore once. You have to do each one individually. If enough people own 3D televisions, change to people. And Xbox X Genesis, we know that's wrong. It's supposed to be Xboxes, so change. Extra space between words, we're going to ignore that. Patrick Schmid, it's a bibliography. His last name probably is Schmid, so we're going to ignore that once. And the word modding is the correct word, so you'll click Ignore once. And a dialog box should pop up that says the spelling and grammar check is complete. How do you know for sure the spelling and grammar check is complete? What is your key check that lets you know that you did a proper spelling and grammar check? Go ahead, Laura. What?
Click it again.
You can click it again. First thing you should always do, click it again. And it says it's complete. If I'm going back up through the document, what am I not going to see anywhere if it's a correct spell check? Red lines and what else? Green lines. If you don't see red and green lines, it's done, it's finished, we know we're good to go. Okay. This is the fun part that all of you are going to get very used to as you move through this program. How many of you have ever written a group paper before? Where you've been in a class and they said you have to write a group research paper. We're going to do a lot of them here. And they're going to be, some of you are going to have really positive experiences with them, some of you not so much. My best advice for you is this. When you are doing group papers, make new comment and track changes your friends. This permits you to email a document between everybody that's in your group and add comments to the document. So what we're going to do here, we're going to scroll up to Microsoft, to the headline, to the heading that says Microsoft Xbox on the second page. We're going to highlight Halo 2. We're going to highlight the words Halo 2. And I'm going to put a new comment in that says, this was the best selling game for the system. How many of you own Halo 2? That actually play video games? Anybody? No? Okay, one. So 2 of us did. They claim that 40% of everybody who owned an original Xbox owned Halo 2. So you click on, you highlight Halo 2 and you click on New Comment. Now watch what this does. It shows as a comment. So when you're editing each other's papers, this is cool because it should normally show your name. This shows Sabina Blue 1 and I add the comment. This was the best-selling game for the system. click outside to close out the comment. And notice that it changes from a bright red to a pinkish color. But now we know when we're emailing this back and forth, you have a comment. And the other classes that I teach in this program, I teach HR and organizational leadership. If you have me for one of those classes, I will send everything back to you with comments and track changes. That makes your life easier. That way I don't have to physically write on papers, and you can decide whether or not you want to accept or take my changes as you go. Most of the instructors in this program do the exact same thing. So, any questions related to commenting? Make sure you know how to do that. I'm showing you where this is, but you're not going to actually physically do this because on the test, I can't send you a document and have you accept or reject changes if you're editing the document. But what you can do here is this. Click under Review and select Track Changes. And anything that we change to the document, so I'm just going to demonstrate this. Microsoft is, I'm going to add the word currently. So I put the word Microsoft is currently planning up under the 3D gaming headline. Notice now that currently is red and underlined. That way if you send a document to another person, they can see what you changed. And then you have options to the right of track changes. You can accept or you can reject them. When you test, and for the midterm, you're going to just wave. You're going to wave your hand in the air when you get to this point. You're going to call me over, and you're going to say, "I'm ready to track changes." You'll show me that you know how to activate it, and you'll show me where accept and reject are, so that you can demonstrate how to do it. If you show it to me on the screen, you get full credit. I put a check and I initial it.
Can you do that again?
Sure. Let me undo it and start over. Okay. I'm going to position my cursor under the 3D gaming headline. Microsoft is space blank. And I'm going to select Track Changes. And it's highlighted. So then I'm going to type in the word currently, space. And it changes to currently underlined red, showing that I added it to the document. And then you have the opportunity to accept or reject changes. I'm simply going to click reject. It'll ask me if I want to continue searching from the beginning of the document. I'll click yes. And I don't want the change. You can highlight it and click on it, and it'll ask you to accept and reject insertion. We can simply reject it, and it's gone. Yes?
I don't see reject. I see accept.
Okay. Take a look.
All change the document.
Yeah. Hold on one section. You want my help? Maximalist. That way everything appears bigger. Okay? And then if it was
I just
there.
put it in Word.
Okay, so you put help in. So then we'll just reject the insertion. Easy enough. Okay. So now please do this so we can finish the rest of the project. Track changes, you're going to deselect track changes now. So click on it and deselect it. Please make sure you do this so we can continue on. So you'll click on track changes, it's highlighted like this. I'm going to click on it once to deselect it, and then it becomes unhighlighted. So we have track changes unhighlighted. Any questions? Anybody need a minute?
Yes.
Okay, no problem. Those of you watching at home, you finished 17 out of the 25 objectives. So we're going to take this and we're going to right click it and we're going to reject. You're searching now. I'm just going to click here once and unselect it. You're good to go. Okay? Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, inserting a table. Can we check on time? Do you mind, Elizabeth? Can you see how much time I have left on the tape? How much is it on?
45 minutes.
Okay, excellent. So we're right on time. Okay. So go up to the top of the document, and position your cursor after the period in the word Nintendo. This is the end of the passage. You're going up to page 1, and you're positioning your document after the period in the word Nintendo. And then I want you to hit enter twice. So 2 enters in. And this is just to show me you know how to insert a table. So you're going to click on insert. Insert, and you're going to click table. And I'm going to have you do a 2x5 table. Now this is important. Please look up here and watch this. It shows you if it's a 2x5 table versus a 5x2 table. I asked you for a 2x5 table. What some people will do is they will think I mean a 5x2 table. The directions say 2x5 table. So we're going to make sure that there are 2 columns selected. It always does columns first and then rows. So we want a 2x5 table. We select 2x5. You're going to left click once, and it's there. You have a 2x5 table inserted in your document. Notice now, too, that we can change our table around. We can add table styles. I'm going to do a lot with table styles in Excel, but not necessarily in Word. You can do the same things in Excel that you can in Word. We're going to cover this really in depth in Chapter 5. We're going to actually use the lookup function to calculate things to see if somebody's meeting a criteria or not, which is a pretty cool activity. So we'll worry about table styles when we get to that point. So click on Home once again, and we can scroll down our document, and what do we notice about references? Are our references indented correctly? Are they?
No.
No, what should they be? They should be hanging indents. So we have to apply a hanging indent to all of our references. When you do this at the end, anytime you write a paper, save this to be one of the very last things you do, because if you end up selecting the entire document and changing the whole document to a hanging indent, it's just going to look ugly. So only make sure you do the references section. So highlight all of our references from Alexander, Lee, all the way down through Patrick Schmidt. Highlight this block. And under paragraph, we're going to change it to line. We're going to go here to the right of the paragraph line spacing where we went for double spacing. We're going to click on line spacing options. And we're going to change our line spacing and our indents and spacing to a special. And it's going to be a special hanging indent. And hanging indents are always a half inch into the document. So notice under indentation, it says special and it says hanging indent, hanging by 0.5. Click OK. And we've performed the hanging indent on all of our references. Any questions up to this point? Okay, no problem. Right here, yep. Yeah, you're right. Go to line spacing options. Either you're going to go to special, or you're going to go to hanging indent. Click OK. Bingo, everything changes. Everybody else good? Cool, okay, let's keep going. All right, so under insert, we can add header footers to document. I would strongly encourage you for any paper that you write to add a header footer into it because let's say you're doing a 25, 30 page document. Let's say you don't have a powerful stapler when you're stapling your pages together. And let's say you turn it into an instructor. The instructor drops all their papers. Your papers are all over the place. There's no header footer. They don't know it's you. So my advice to you for anything you turn in any classes is always to add a header or a footer. So what I'm going to ask you to do is this. I'm going to say, let's add a header. So click on header. And it'll give you options of different headers that you can add. I'm going to just say, let's do just to show you that these are pretty cool. Scroll around, check your options. Let's try grid. So scroll down to grid. A simple header with the author name. And you will have the option to type your name in. It knew that I was the author. My name is Sabina, and it added my name in. So watch what happens when I click off of it. Every page in a lighter font that's grayed in, it says my name, Sabina. Any questions on that? Click back on Insert, and I'm going to have you add page numbers now. So insert page numbers at the bottom of the page. So click on page numbers and just put a page number at the bottom of the page. I'm going to just go with a plain number, and then page numbers are at the bottom of the page. So under the Insert tab, you can add a header, footer, and a page number. Any questions on that? Bottom of the page.
How'd you do that?
I clicked on under header and footer, I clicked on page number. And then I put the page number at the bottom of the page, and I just used plain number as my format. Any questions? Okay, so now what I want you to do, take a minute and File, click on File, and I want you to save as your document onto the desktop. So make sure that you save it. I'm going to call it Sabina Microsoft Gaming Change Document. You can call whatever you want. I'm just calling it this so I know where it is and I know how to access it. But I want you to save your document to the desktop right now.
Save as.
Save as. Don't just save it, because we're gonna go on the internet now and we're gonna look for a picture to add in.
Microsoft Gaming.
I called it Microsoft Gaming Change Document. Just change it so you know it's something different, so you can access it, and make sure you save it to the desktop. And then I'm going to open up Internet Explorer and I'm going to go to google.com. We're going to talk about our friend Google Images, which is, in my opinion, the greatest picture search that exists. So go to Google on the internet, please. Anybody need help with the saving? Okay, coming around.
Did you save as or save?
Yeah. It's there.
Oh, it's not. Oh, okay. So it was on the. There. If you click on the well, he's on Facebook.
See it? Blue screen right here. See it? Everybody good? We good back here? Cool. Excellent. Okay, so you should have the document. Now we're on Google. Now we're on Google, and we're going to go to Google Images. So let's chat about. This will be a good point to chat about copyrights and when you can use pictures and what you can use them for. If I wanted to simply pull a picture off from Google Images and put it on a document that I'm going to use for business reasons, am I permitted by law to do that? No. What would happen to me?
You could get fined.
I could get fined, I could get sued. So in order to use images related to something that you're doing for anything that's resold or for professional use, you must get permission to use the images. For the scope of this class, I want you to at least be able to see how to use images and change images. So we're going to use Google Images to add a picture to the document. So you're going to click on Google Images, and in the search box, you're going to type in Microsoft Xbox. You're going to spell it this way. Type Microsoft Xbox. And when you do that, all of these different pictures and graphics appear. Everybody have the same pictures I have. Okay? So we're going to click on the first first image. This is just to show that you know how to add an image to a document. So we're going to click on the image. And very important that it says images may be subject to copyright. So anything that we do with this document, we obviously can't print it or use it as anything more than a class example. So we click on it, and we can right click, and we're going to copy. So we click on the picture, we hit right click and copy. Go back to the document. Go back to the document, right click, and paste.
Where do we paste that?
I'm going to have you paste it for now at the top of the document, under the heading Microsoft Gaming. And then we're going to show you how to edit and wrap the document, the image within the document. So the graphic should paste underneath Microsoft Gaming. If you're doing this at home, as long as it's on the first page, that's all we need to know. We're going to change this so that we can actually physically move it around. Are you on images? Have to be on images. There it is. Copy. Then go back to the document. The Word document. Hold on one second. You're still selecting the header. So now just paste it here. You know what? You got the header selected. Copy it. Right click on the copy and say we just did it. Click on this. We're gonna paste it. Okay. Everybody good? Everybody have the document pasted? All right. Okay. So now we're going to click on the picture. And this is important because if you're ever adding a piece of clipboard or a picture to a document, you have the wrap text option, which is a pain in the butt. It automatically positions the picture in the document as text. We don't want it as text. We want it so we can move it around. So under Picture Tools and Format, you're going to select Wrap Text. You should have are you physically click on the picture?
It is. I don't have that up and around.
Oh, dude. Picture tools?
Picture Tools,
Okay.
come up,
I got it.
and it should say Wrap Text.
I got it.
Everybody have it. Okay, super important. You are going to select Through. T-H-R-O-U-G-H, Through. And now we have a graphic that we can move around anywhere on the document. So I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to move it where I want it to go. I want it on the left side. I'm simply going to pick it up and drag it and move it from the left to the right of the document, underneath the table. And look how beautiful that looks. It positions it perfectly. But you have to change it to Through to do that. This might take a little bit to change. Any questions? Okay, so here's another little trick. Same thing that you can use for texting on a cell phone. Let's go down to 3D Gaming. 3D Gaming. I'm going to really zoom in here. I'm going to position my cursor to the right of the G in 3D Gaming. I'm going to hit the space bar, and I'm going to type in I'm going to hold the Shift key down, and I'm going to type in a colon, a hyphen, and a right parentheses. And look, it changes it to a smiley face. So once again, let me show you how to do that. Colon, dash, right parentheses. And it's a smiley face now. And if you try to backspace it, it'll default it to the original because Microsoft thinks you didn't want a smiley face there, but we want a smiley face there. Okay? While we're here, let's click on Insert. And Dr. Langbein wants everybody to know how to do this for the quantitative class. So click on the Insert tab, and under Equation, you can add equations. We're not going to add an equation, but under Insert, you can add an equation, and you could also add a symbol. And some of the symbols are there. You could have directly added a smiley face. You could have added not equal to, greater than equal to, less than, plus, minus. But you can add symbols. You could always click on more symbols, and it will give you a variety of different symbols that you can use. But that's showing you where it is. But for this, we're just going to add a smiley face. Let me zoom out so that we can get back to the document. Okay. Finally, the last thing that we're going to do in Word is this. And you won't do this on the midterm, but you're going to show me you know where this is. You can protect a document by clicking on the Review tab and clicking Restrict Editing. And if I want to edit restrictions, I can click on Edit Restrictions, and it will not permit anybody to change my document. Track changes, comments, filling in forms, no changes, read only, and it will show you exceptions. And it will give you the option to start protection after you select them. The only thing I want you to do is show me that you know how to do this. You won't have to physically do this on the test. You're going to wave to me again, call me over, and say, this is how I would be able to restrict editing. Okay? The next step it'll ask you to do is print the document. Obviously, those of you watching at home, you're not going to print the document. The people in the class aren't either, but on the test, you'll physically print the document. So, finally, it's going to ask you that you know how to do a word count. I want you to know how to do word count because on the discussion board posts, you have to have a certain amount of words